So today we're going to be going over clean progressions here at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Southwestern Oklahoma State University, I have developed our own way, which we will teach the redshirt freshman or any freshman for any sports how to perform a clean. This is the best way that I have decided to do. It's the simplest. It goes through a few steps. So today we're going to walk through those steps. We usually start off with a PVC pipe just to get guys used to the movements, and then we'll move up to the barbells, and then we'll start adding weight as soon as they develop the movements correctly. So first things first, we want to go over is the stance. So your stance, starting off, feet are shoulder width apart, hands just outside of shoulders, and then we're right here. So it's just a simple stance, just like any other workout. Knees are slightly bent, and then we're going to go into the power position. So right here. So shoulders are above the PVC pipe, all the way across. Knees are slightly bent. This is step 2. Step 3 is to execute a hip hinge, which is basically like an RDL. So we're down right here. All we're doing is hinging at the hip. Knees are staying the same. Stance is staying the same. Shoulders are above. Shoulders always want to be ahead of the PVC pipe. So whenever we're doing cleans, we want to be sure that PVC pipe stays close to the legs but not touching. And then the next step is to simply execute. So going through the whole hang clean right there. Now that's just the steps we use. So we'll go 1, 2, execute, but we also have simple steps in between before we execute the full hang clean. First up is we have the clean shrug. So we'll say 1, which is power position, 2, which is down to the RDL or the hip hinge, execute, and then we're just up here. So all we're doing here is we're going through the first 2 stages, and we're coming up on our toes, and we're shrugging, squeezing those traps, keeping those arms straight, squeezing the traps, teaching those traps to fire when we're at the top of the jump, okay? So we would go 1, 2, execute, team will perform the clean shrug. Next, we're gonna do the clean pull. So this is the next step after the clean shrug. So we'll say 1, 2, execute, clean pull. So the only difference here is we're teaching us to go up, and after we get to the shrug point, we're bringing that PVC pipe up. So we're going here, here, up, PVC pipe comes up. That's the clean pull. So we'd say 1, 2, execute, perform the clean pull. Of course, this entire time we're walking around the weight room, making sure that guys are doing it correctly, making sure everybody is performing movements correctly. So next is the muscle clean. So first things first is the power position, 1, 2 is the hip hinge, and execute right here. Okay, so all we're doing, typically we do this with the barbell because it's a little heavier weight. PVC pipe's a little awkward, it's hard to get the elbows and the hands down. So we'd say 1, 2, execute, they'd come up, and they would just do a muscle clean. So there's not any of the extra shrugging, not any of the pull, simply just coming up, muscle clean. And then next we have the front squat. So a lot of guys have a low mobility in the hips. So all we want to do is see that they can squat with a bar or PVC pipe. So we always throw in a couple of reps of each of these through the progression. Even after we've taught the progression and even after we've taught them how to do the cleans, we throw the front squats in, the clean shrugs, clean pulls, muscle cleans, before they will ever actually attempt a hang clean. So front squat is simply right here, making sure the elbow's up. I can't get this PVC pipe down, it's not heavy enough. But so we'd be right here, front squat. Okay, all we're doing is making sure that they can stay flat on their feet, making sure their back is straight, making sure that PVC pipe is where it needs to be, or barbell. Now after we've assessed all these, and all these movements are correct, we move into the full hang clean. So we start 1, 2, execute, right here. Okay, so the only thing that's different after going through these is we're pretty much combining all of the elements. So as you can see, we go through the clean pull, the clean shrug, and the front squat, half front squat with the clean. So we typically like to have guys who are starting to do hang cleans. We don't like them to start off the floor, simply because when you start off the floor, you have a bad chance of guys who have a weak lower back to round that back, cause a lot of imbalances, and cause them to get off balance going into the clean. So if we can get guys to teach them to start from the knees and then work the way down to the floor, that's the best way to do it. Typically whenever I went and got certified and got taught to clean, we started from the top down. And that helps create a lot better mobility, a lot better motion. So a couple of cues we like to use with these cleans are to make sure we're firing in the hips. So whenever we get to this point right here, we're firing those hips, but we're not ever pushing them through all the way until we're up in the air. So whenever we're here, as you can see, looking at me from the side, whenever I get here, my hips are not fired all the way through, okay? So we don't want the glutes firing and the hips firing fully until we're up in the air. Then it fires through, bring that bar up, come down. Another one is to make sure it fires through the toes, through the feet as well, and the glutes. So a couple of pros and cons of the cleans. With football teams, we get a lot of the linemen that we like to use cleans with, simply because of the motion that we have going from here to here. Helps a lot with developing power and speed through that motion. So a lot of linemen come from here up to here. So with that extra power coming through a clean, we get the same speed motion coming up out of a stance. With certain other teams, it does help develop a lot of shoulder mobility, overhead shoulder mobility, just simply because having to keep those elbows up and those shoulders relaxed. Really, there aren't very many cons to a clean, just only whenever guys are doing them wrong. So we try to do our best when we're in the weight room, making sure we're doing the best while we're in the weight room, so that athletes aren't rounding backs, pushing too far back whenever they're coming up out of clean. We get a lot of guys who want to try to pull that bar too far back, and they're already back here and trying to catch up to it and recover. But other than that, we really love the clean in here. The football coaches love the clean. And whenever we get a lot of guys that are strong in the clean, you really see a difference in the athletic ability of the athlete. That's all.